looking at that NFC East division, to be honest, I thought the two teams who would be battling it out for, the number one spot in that division would be the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. The funny thing is that it's the complete opposite. It is the Washington football team and the New York Giants who seem to be fighting it out for that number one spot. Because as I'm filming this, both teams are currently 5-7, coming off very, very big wins that honestly most people didn't see coming. I know personally I didn't really see it coming. The Giants come in and beat the Seahawks, and the football team comes in and ruins the Steelers' undefeated season. But in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the New York Giants and why I think they're getting hot at the perfect time. Because starting off the season, they started off 0-5. Not looking good at all. I personally wrote them off. I was just like, oh, that NFC East division, who knows who's going to come out of there. Whoever does, they're not really going to be a threat. And then they actually started off 1-7 after going 0-5. But now they're sitting at 5-7 after winning their last 4 games. In their last 7 games, they are 5-2. In those 2 losses, they only lost by combined 3 points. So this week, coming in and beating the Seahawks, I think it put the Giants on lots of people's radars who didn't really realize that they were slowly heating up. Because I know personally, I didn't completely realize just how good the Giants have been playing recently, especially when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. They have just been dominating that side of the ball. They held the Seahawks and Russell Wilson to 12 points, when that team currently, even after this week's only scoring 12 points, is the 4th best scoring offense in the NFL. So think about that team coming in December, if they can pull off that number one spot, which I honestly personally think the Giants will end up getting the number one spot in the NFC East versus the Washington football team. Who knows? Anything can happen though. But imagine this defense coming in the playoffs, starting off, just being very, very underrated as they have in the entire season, sort of being the underdog, no one really expecting them to come in and do what they have done. Playing with that underdog mentality with one of the best defenses, I think that's definitely a scary team to face just because they really have nothing to lose. And so if we sort of take a look at that defense, one of the bright spots on that defense is Leonard Williams, who has just been a great player on that line for the Giants. And versus that game versus the Seahawks, he had 2.5 sacks against Russell Wilson. But not only is that team very, very good at stopping, sacking the quarterback and getting to the quarterback, they're also one of the best run-stopping defenses in the NFL. They're 4th when you look at rush yards per game. And overall, just sort of take a look at their stats. They are a top 10 scoring defense when it comes to points allowed. They're ranked 9th, allowing only 22.1 points per game. So that defense has been playing very, very good recently. It's definitely their strong suit. If we sort of take a look at the offensive side of the ball, coming to that game versus the Seahawks, Daniel Jones, of course, has been injured. Colt McCoy comes in there, and they beat the Seahawks with Colt McCoy, who obviously is not the best quarterback. He was obviously great in college, but he's been a solid backup, not great, probably a pretty average quarterback. He only threw for 100 yards in that game, in the Giants still pull off the victory. Partly that's also because this Giants team can really run the ball. So even though the Giants lose Saquon Barkley early in the season, obviously one of the best running backs in the NFL, and I personally thought when they lost Saquon Barkley, I was like, there's no hope for the Giants. But obviously, they have proven me wrong. So when we take a look at that game versus the Seahawks, the Giants ran the ball for 190 yards. Wayne Gallman had 16 carries for 135 yards. So even though they had a guy like Colt McCoy in there, they were still able to get the job done. And considering Daniel Jones should be back, I don't know, sometime soon, at least ready for the playoffs, this team really doesn't need to have like a very, very high performing quarterback in there when they can just run the ball. They just need a guy who, doesn't really turn the ball over, can sort of keep possession, not make stupid mistakes, not throw crazy turnovers. But honestly, this offense is looking good, especially when it comes to the running game. The past 3 games, they are 2nd in the NFL, averaging 161 yards per game. So overall, I just don't think this Giants team can be taken lightly. I think a majority of people before this game versus the Seahawks didn't really recognize how good and sort of how much the Giants have been heating up in the past 4 games especially. So it will definitely be exciting to sort of see how this NFC division shapes up, because I know everyone was sort of making fun of the NFC East because it is pretty bad. The winning team right there is 5-7 currently, both the football team and the Giants. So it's going to be cool to see, or it's going to be exciting to see which team can end up being, the number one team in the NFC East. I personally think it will be the Giants, but the football team has been looking good, especially after defeating Ben Roethlisberger and that Steelers team. But I'll be curious to hear your thoughts. Who do you guys think is going to win the NFC East? Do you guys agree? Do you think it will be the Giants, or do you think the football team has a shot? Let me know down in the comments below. But that's basically all I wanted to break down in today's video. So if you guys enjoyed it, I would really appreciate if you guys hit the like button down below. And if you want to see some more NFL content, I post Packers content on here and NFL content pretty much every single day. So make sure you subscribe and turn your post notifications on for that. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.